Hi everybody, Adam Steele here from Hot Pole Studios, and today we're announcing a new pack of cabinets, the Dine IR cabinets, that we're releasing with Two Notes. So some of you may know that I've been making cabinets for Two Notes for a long time now. Started off with some of the early Zilla cabs that I had, which became the Studio cabs, then the Big Beast, and it went from there. And now we've got a pack that is called the Best of British. It's 7 cabinets, 1 bass cab, 6 guitar cabs, and they all have a very obvious common theme. They're all made in England. Let's start with the Purple Haze. The Purple Haze is a rather rare variant of a Marshall cabinet. It's not a 1960, I think it's a 1982B tall box variant, so it's really quite tall for a 4x12, which means it's really oversized, and it's taller than any other oversized cabinet I have. It's a reissue of the Jimi Hendrix cabs from the 60s, and it's in purple, hence the name. It all goes together quite well, really. But it's got greenbacks in there, and it's from the early 90s, and it's been played and gigged, and so that softened the tone off a little bit, and it's one of the typical classic British Marshall-esque sounds. Following on from that is the God's Brit G12H. I came out with the God's Brit cab, which is an oversized cab based on a Marshall Mode 4 a little while back. I called it the God's Brit, kind of loosely based on the old God's Cab. You may have heard of that, which was based on an oversized Mesa. Of course, this isn't quite the same, but the oversized nature and the original vintage 30s in there led it to that kind of feel. However, on this variation of the cabin, I've swapped out the speakers for Celestion's G12H anniversaries, which have a far more kind of crunchy British kind of feel, I guess. In my tradition of swapping speakers like I like to do, you may have seen on my channel, I've also swapped the speakers on my Big Beast and turned it into the Big Green Beast. Of course, the real one isn't green, but we needed to visually distinguish them. And that, I swapped the speakers out for Celestion greenbacks. They are the G12H heavy greenbacks, which gives it a more classic British sound, but with that big, thick, deep, powerful, smooth sound that Zilla cabs, who are based down in the south of England in Cornwall, are known for. Another cabinet that's in here that was made for me by Zilla cabs, I've called it the 420 Blaze Tone, which is very silly. But that is a 1x12 Fat Baby cabinet, which is like their Fat Boy, very deep for a 1x12 cabinet, but this one has the Celestion hemp back in it. Very warm, very smooth, very thick. Great for things like thick blues solos and jazz tones where you don't want super amounts of top end, but you want a punchy low. So it's definitely got that, and it's also got the meme factor involved, you know, all the kind of 420 and hemp and all that kind of stuff. Another one that was custom made for me by the guys at Zilla is the one that I've cheekily named the Deaky Speaky, which is not exactly the same, but is inspired by a tiny little guitar cabinet that Queen used for a long time, which had a 1x10 speaker in it, and that gave them something completely different from the typical voxy sound that Queen are known for, which definitely gave them something that could cut through on things like solos. So in this case, it's a 1x10 that's got a semi-open back, it's got a little kind of port on the back, with a Celestion G10 cream back in there, so it's a 45 watt speaker. So it's got some real kind of high-end bite and not a lot of low end, which on its own sounds a little weird, but try it in a mix and see how suddenly that part can just jump out, especially as a solo, because it's not fighting for the low end with everything else then, it just can sit and just sing. The last Zilla cabinet in this set, at least, is the Mini Fridge, which I named because of the classic The Fridge, which is the what everyone calls an Ampeg 8x10 classic, of course. This cabinet is one that I commissioned the guys at Zilla to make. It's based on their bass Fat Boy, which looks like the guitar Fat Boy, but is built very differently. It's ported. It's actually a 2x12. We were going to go with a 2x10 like the 8x10 and just cut it down because, little known fact, Ampeg 8x10s that everybody loves are actually 4 2x10s stacked together and actually kind of sealed in between. A lot of them are anyway. I know there's variations and things. And this one was supposed to be just a quarter of that, so same sound, different setup. As it turns out, it does sound slightly different and has its own warm character, which I very much like. And finally, to round out the group, is one that's not actually English, but is based on the kind of the English idea of the company Wharfedale and later Albion. It's a 4x12 cab that they made. I don't even know if it has a specific model number, but it's a bit of a secret weapon of mine. It sounds a bit like a cab with vintage 30s, but without that spiky harshness in the top end. It's got a smoother top, because it's got a speaker that they designed themselves in there, and it's a really nice alternative to the slightly scratchy thing and having to spend tons of time with EQ, when you can just go for a speaker that has that up front in your face sound, but without a couple of those ooh kind of things in there. Now, of course, another part of the Britishness is me in the studio. It's all recorded here in Manchester, England. But beyond that, the signal chain was very English. We tried to choose some of the microphones, like the Aston Origin is very common in this set. They're, one of my favourite English microphone companies. There was a ribbon that I used a couple of times from Extinct Audio, but all of those microphones then went through the either Cranbourne Audio Camden preamps, which are incredibly clean, or the Drama 1960, which has a wonderful valve flavour. All of those then went through my jewel in the crown behind me, which is my BBC AM713 high gain line preamps, and then they also went through the 9-band inductor EQs from the BBC, which are so rare I've never seen them anywhere else, but I'm very fortunate to have a set of those. The EQs, of course, were all kept flat, but the fact that they are the way they are actually imparts a certain character to the sound. That all then went through the Audient ASP 880s conversion, which is another great British company. So everything, as far as was humanly possible, is all as British as it can get. So that hopefully makes a difference to the sound and makes it a little more interesting.
take me to the place I wanted to. And I will be home, missing you. And I will be there when you do. 'Cause every little thing you say, you know it takes my breath away. I can only fall asleep and take your will from you, from you. I'll never let the moment break, no matter about a thing you say. I can only fall asleep and take your will from you, from you. Till the edge, the edge, the edge, the edge. Another little moment far away. You take me to the place I wanna stay. And I will be home, missing you. 'Cause when you say there's nothing else that I can do, 'cause every little thing you say, you know it takes my breath away. I can only fall asleep and take the will from you, from you. I'll never let the moment break, no matter about a thing you say. I can only fall asleep and take the will from you, from you. Till the edge, the edge, the edge, the edge. Cause every little thing you say, you know it takes my breath away. I can only fall asleep and take the will from you, from you. I'll never let the moment break, I'll never let the moment break. Till the edge, the edge, the edge, the edge.
Hope you enjoy those cabinets. They should be on sale now in the Two Notes store. There'll be a link in the description. Thanks everybody for watching, and good luck and have fun. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.